Oh, I think both teams are ready. Casters are ready, so I think we should be hopping into the game 3 champion select any moment. And with that, here we go. Raka starting off the bans on the blue side.
Raka again coming back in for Heart of Gold.
Yep. So we ban once again
I'm
Trinibir.
gonna go to limit and say Aurelion Sol is coming next.
Yeah. Would not be surprised. Here it is. So these teams have pretty much reached a consensus about what the optimal set of bans are. They're happy to just ban the same things every game.
There's a chance Ashe may hit on the next blue side ban.
Yeah.
Don't know what makes me think that, but I'm gonna go off and.
Yeah, your caster senses are tingling. You're feeling the Ashe ban.
I've done a lot of analysis for. I've studied the trends, and Ashe has a 100% ban rate from Heart of Gold this series.
Wow. I mean, if the past resembles the future, then by induction, Ashe ban and Ashe ban it is. Induction succeeds in aligning us with the truth once again. It's going to be the same set of 3 bans for Heart of Gold.
So we're going to see the Darius, or we're going to see something else come out here?
It's going to be the Darius. Looks like they really don't want Zedia to play melee fighter in top lane. And the Trundle priority, once again, picked up early by Raka. It's going to be matched by the Kindred very similarly to game 1, so I was really happy with Scanlong's early route. We're just going to see if he's able to convert more readily into an advantage. They're opting for the Alistar this time instead of the Morgana that we saw in game 1. I really like Caitlyn Morgana as a lane, but there was definitely a lot of holes in the way that lane matchup was executed, so because of that, even if Morgana Caitlyn is strong in the abstract, having the Alistar pickup gives them reliable engage, gives them a little bit more stability. I think it'll be a good tool for them. Morgana, though, getting snapped up by Heart of Gold in exchange in response to Alistar, pretty interesting.
I mean, they have a different support now. I'm not sure how Kazooie feels about Morgana versus Alistar, but I mean, the Alistar worked out reasonably well for them last game.
Yep. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think especially because it doesn't look like, based on the past 2 games at least, I don't really know what Pacific Time's champion pool is, but if Pacific Time doesn't play engaged champions or engaged tanks, then it makes sense to have engaged somewhere else on your team, especially if that Kindred jungle that's not going to be a source of engage for you. So if you want to make proactive decisions, that power has to come from your bot lane.
And we now see some adaptations as Ahri's finally taken off the table in the 3rd game. So Gavin's going to be playing something new this time.
Yep.
I would expect we are likely to see Vanguard's pick here and to give Pacific Time his choice with the last champion.
And, well, I gotta ask, since you have a little bit more insight in these players than I do, is there any chance that Morgana or Corki is going to be flexed to the mid lane?
I would be very surprised. So if you look at Gavin's pool, it's a lot of control mages.
I see.
And so Corki doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different style.
Morgana's a control mage, but not really in the same degree. Clear. I suspect there's a chance that we're going to see the Illaoi come out again.
Yeah.
Especially with that Cho'Gath ban, as they may have sort of understood the interactions that were really problematic for them.
Right.
I would be unsurprised to see Pacific end up on like a Mundo or a Poppy or something like that.
Yep.
But I sure would want to give him the...
Oh, Akali! Whoa! That is not what I expected to see. Already picking up the reworked Akali. I think it looks really strong even though the win rates are low. It's a champion that definitely has a lot of complexity, a lot of interesting interactions, but most importantly has a lot of mobility. So if Pacific Time has been putting in the hours and has his Akali games, he could definitely do a lot, especially against a roster of Corki, Trundle, Morgana. Akali's really good at just negating the pressure that Morgana normally has with her ultimate. If Morgana drops the tether, you can just E out of it and then re-engage. So Akali's like the ideal champion for breaking that. Oh, and Aatrox finally making it through Pig and Van gets locked in as well. So we may see Aatrox versus Akali top lane. That would be really exciting.
I suspect we're going to see Akali in the mid lane.
Oh, okay. You think so? It's going to be a Vanguard pick? Oh, yep, and the Jace locked in. I think that's going to be Jace top, like you said, and Akali for the mid lane. Really interesting. So they do a... Oh,
There was a. Oh, hold
placeholder?
on. Let's see what it was. Akali. Orianna was a proxy pick. Sorry. So that Akali is not Akali. That was an Orianna.
Oh, okay. That's a
is
downer.
disappointing
Ah, I really wanted to see Akali. That is a downer. But Orianna does make a lot more sense. I was going to be like, what? Vanguard on Akali? That's a little bit uncharacteristic.
I would say it doesn't seem like his type of champion, but it's also like I can't imagine wanting to take Akali as
Yeah.
into the matchup against Aatrox.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like a recipe for Zesha running over the game again.
Yeah, I guess so. Akali has a lot of tools for punishing, but doesn't have a lot of proactive laning decisions still. Is really good at punishing people who space incorrectly. But I think the Orianna makes a lot of sense. It's a champion that Vanguard probably has a lot of experience on. It lets him have engage tools to combo with the Alistar. And I think that's something they were missing in the game one, right? They had scaling, they had defensive tools, so I think they had a lot of ways to make their composition work, but it was a very difficult technical team to play. If you play a team with no engage, that just automatically puts a lot of pressure on your team to coordinate perfectly. If you don't have a go in button, everyone needs to space perfectly, everyone has to be on the same page, you'll have to walk forward and disengage at the same time, and that's just really hard to execute at this level of play. So I think by having engage on your team, having a very clear window to fight where Alistar goes in, you Orianna ult off him, they're all CC'd, time to hit, right? That just creates a much easier gameplay cycle to play around. It's much more clear, it's much more telegraphed, and that can help shore up any weaknesses in communication that your team might have.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure how I feel about the Jace pick. I guess it's going to depend on how comfortable he is with the matchup against Aatrox.
Yep.
But I definitely liked Pacific Time on a tank much more.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I definitely
it's
liked
so
his...
much more forgiving to play a tank than a carry, especially in the top lane.
Right. It's like pretty consistently, even the game 2 where Pacific Time was like quote unquote winning because of the pressure he receives from Scanlong, he was still down so much farm, and if you're playing a ranged carry in top lane like that, you can't really afford to be down farm. It doesn't matter whether or not you're just okay in your KDA, you still need the gold income from minions in order to stay relevant. And if Pacific Time is getting pressured hard enough in lane that he can't CS, it's going to take a long time for him to become useful, if he becomes useful at all. So definitely going to have to pay attention to that.
The other thing I would say is I really would have liked to see Trundle ban list instead of the Pantheon.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we've shown you're not going to ban out everything Zesha. So the best you really are going to hope for is having something that you can skew in a certain way, like having the Cho'Gath against the Alawi for someone who can execute someone.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah, leaving that Trundle open. Trundle is just it was such clearly highly contested in all these games, and just allowing that to go over to the blue side here, I think is definitely a mistake. I agree with you on that part. One thing to keep in mind though is that if they want to ban Trundle, since it's being first pick, they would need to ban instead of Tryndamere, Garen, or Darius if they want to squeeze in their first 3 bans.
Was the Trundle? Oh, you're right. The Trundle was the first pick. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The trades messed me up.
Right. Yeah. It's a little different now. Yep.
So now I'll get 3 minutes to kind of speculate about the way this game is going to go.
Yeah. Is they don't have a tank on the side of not bots, but that could end up working out in their favor. Perhaps they anticipated that they could bait this Trundle pick, and then now they can just pick no tanks into Trundle. There is an Alistar for Trundle to ult, so it's not like there are no relevant targets, and you can actually steal the damage reduction from Alistar Ultimate as well, so that is a valuable interaction in favor of Trundle. At the same time, the Trundle really prefers ulting a higher income tank so that you get more of your own relevant stats. Ulting a support tank, it's still good, and still correct in this situation especially, but you definitely get a lot less resist compared to when you're ulting a really fed top lane Maokai.
Yeah, definitely. I really would have liked to see the Poppy come through for Pacific Time here. He's played it before this tournament. He's played it to great success. And Poppy has some nice interactions with Aatrox that make it not really a favorable matchup, but a better than average matchup than it would be.
Yep.
And so I really would have liked to see that coming in, and I think it would have really rounded out this team comp.
Yeah, it definitely would have been a little bit different. We'll see if that comes back to bite. these teams. Taking a look at the summoner spell choice, you do see that Vanguard has cleanse to cleanse the Anivia Q. I think that's a great choice on his part.
Yeah. I'm surprised to see Ignite on Anivia, though. I think I would have expected to teleport here.
Yeah. Based on the
Like-
way that the Heart of Gold has showed their style, it doesn't look like they really want Gavin side laning. They tend to keep him mid just to wave clear and be on wave clear duty. So in that sense, maybe makes a little bit more sense they use Ignite. Nivea is a champion that does also have kill pressure, and the Ignite will help in the 2v2 if Trundle and Kindred start scrapping over Crab. So there are definitely pros and cons to both choices. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess maybe it's more, especially later on, it's not like an and frontline. Like, she usually gonna, I'd say front to back, it's not like either team really has any heavy tanks other than maybe Trundle.
Right.
And the Alistar. And so I feel like even in that case, like maybe to a heal or something like that could have been a better choice. Although we'll see. I mean, Gavin was able to pull off a solo kill on the Vanguard game.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little tougher with Anivia than it is with Ahri.
Yeah.
Especially on something, I guess, a little safer in the Orianna. Although both Orianna and Ryze are relatively safe and strong enough matchups.
Yeah.
So now about 20 seconds left.
One thing that's a little odd to me is this very consistent Caitlyn priority that we've seen from Nutbots. I assume that Giratina plays a mean Ashe, given that it's per banned every single game. So I guess we'll never really know. But my impression is that maybe if you aren't able to play Ashe, maybe something similar like Varus, perhaps, or maybe another utility carry like Sivir. Those might be interesting options.
I think it depends kind of on what you pick the Ashe for.
Right. If it's just a long auto attack range champion, right, then I guess Caitlyn has a similar
Caitlyn makes sense of that. Like, long auto attack, strong scaling, like, Caitlyn hits that box too. Obviously, Ashe has the ultimate, which is going to be a little bit stronger than Caitlyn's ultimate in terms of her kit.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So, one thing that I did know, Go Routine has actually played Jace. This turn. So
in the bottom lane?
Is the last pick. Yeah, in the bottom lane.
Interesting.
So as the last pick, it's not going to be a flex pick.
Right, of course. But that is maybe something on the table that we could see later on in this series, you think?
Yeah, I would say it certainly seems possible. Another thing I would have liked, I think, is maybe the Xayah over the Caitlyn.
Right, yeah.
Go Routine has played it this tournament, has shown some degree of success on it.
Yeah.
And it might have been, yeah.
Xayah's also potentially strong if you think that Zedia is the primary threat and that you think he's going to play melee fighters in most games. Xayah has a lot of options for denying and kiting out against melee fighters, so that potentially could have been a really strong option.
Yeah, if you look at Go Routine's pool so far, it's been mostly, or Ashe is the most common champion, Xayah is the second most common champion. After that, I believe Jace is the next most common. I don't think I've seen a game before today where he played Caitlyn.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I think especially if anyone's been following LCK or competitive play, Varus has been very heavily prioritized by a lot of different teams in a lot of different regions. Even though the solo queue win rates are kind of low, in an organized setting like this, having a crowd control ultimate on a marksman is just so powerful. So if Ashe isn't on the table, Varus is just another great option. It's possible that Giratina just hasn't played Varus, and of course you don't want to throw on something he's never had games on. But if you're a familiar Ashe player, Varus should feel pretty comfortable to switch to.
Definitely. And I mean, this is a really popular broadcast. Maybe they're just afraid of the outrage.
Oh, you cut out there? Oh, yeah. On Reddit. Right. Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't been overly... I mean, I think Go Routine is mostly looking safe.
Oh, Zedia gets a little bit tickled here. Might have to recall. He should be back in his base, or back in the lane by the time the minions spawn, unless Pacific Tide gets the cancel here. He's looking for it! Zedia gets his greedy recall off.
But what he do is...
Vanguard. Oh, but Gavin misses his Q reactivation. Vanguard is going to have to use a Corrupting Potion charge, but trades a little bit of damage back. Really goofy level 1 this game. Not really sure what's going on. Morgana's still here, not even leashing. Finally heading back toward the buff.
So one thing I would have liked to see is, what we do know is Pacific Time saw the tail end of that recall from Zesha.
Right.
So I would have liked him to press forward and get a little bit of deep vision in the jungle.
Right, that was definitely
Because
something
at
he
that
had
point,
opportunity
it's
to do.
effectively safe and free.
Yeah, especially when you
have-
see Raka just dancing in mid lane with your mid laner.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I mean, they could be tracking the Trundle right now. Like,
Yep.
they could know exactly that Trundle is in position to kind of do this wraparound, counter jungle, scuttle crab, whatever you want to call
Yep.
it.
Scanlong doing the exact same route he did in game 1. Blue buff, Gromp to bottom crab. And Band Shadows doing a slightly different route than he did, though. In the previous game, Band Shadows did red, wolf, blue. Instead, this time he's doing red, topside crab, invade. So he recognized that Scanlong beat him to red buff last time. So he's going to try and do a faster invade to see if he can get that for himself. Because he's getting
Also, I
super
think he
chunked
can
out. Bottom lane
also-
has to flash. Really unfortunate for him. Alistar flash is a valuable cooldown. Don't want to have to spend that unnecessarily.
Also worth noting, I think the Kindred pathing was very, very predictable. Not even in a bad way. Like, I think it was the correct pathing. But the mark ended up on that scuttle crab.
Right.
And so there was almost no world where the Kindred wasn't going to rush that scuttle crab.
Mm-hmm.
So either you fight for it, or you know that he's going to be down there and go into his jungle and counter jungle.
Yep. So on game 1, we saw Scanlong with the 3 buff. Band Shadow's taking a greedy clear, but this time Band Shadow's the one who gets his 3 buff off, gets a smart invade, gets the topside crab, takes the enemy red, and Scanlong is not going to have the same catastrophic advantage that he had in game 1. But as far as looking at pass game goes, apparently if Scanlong snowballs too hard, his team loses. So if we're paying attention to game 2, maybe it's better for...
I don't know, did you see his Trundle? That was pretty massive.
That's true. He was strong, but Band Shadows was equally strong, right? So... And game 1, Trundle was
early
just...
in the game,
or,
sure.
sorry. Yeah. Oh, a dive happening here. It looks like Scanlong looking to try and pressure, but Pacific Time unable to finish the kill, and now Band Shadow's here for the counter gang, running Pacific Time down, gonna give him the chomp. It's gonna be a kill. There's no way for Pacific Time to get out of this one. Scanlong runs away with his life, but this is gonna be really unfortunate for Pacific Time. That was potentially a big window where they could have dived Zedia, put Jason in a position where he can continue to bully for a long time, but that's not gonna happen anymore. Scanlong, though, finding Gavin in the mid lane, looking to chunk him out. He's gonna go into egg. Ignite goes down, killing Scanlong. Vanguard's going to be able to pop the egg, but he just doesn't have enough damage. That's so unfortunate for Notbots. They're in a really deep hole, and they better stop digging if they want to get out of this one.
I'll say, unlike the previous 2 games, I wouldn't necessarily say that they scale significantly better.
Yep. So because of that, they're going to need to find a way to fight back for control. One thing they do have going in favor of them is that Gavin has 6 farm to Vanguard's 19. It's a little bit odd. Not sure how that happened, but Gavin really just hasn't been farming this game, which makes it all the more unfortunate that Scanlong died like the way he did. But Vanguard's still going to be ahead in
Worth
his
noting,
own
though,
matchup.
that the Aatrox did not get an assist off that kill. Even without
Scanlong
using
running
his
down
flash-
Band Shadows, forces Band Shadows flash, and is able to secure bottom crab for himself, I think, but bottom lane is running up to contest. He's going to have to take this away from Morgana, who's here to contest, is level 4, gets the bind down. Band Shadows going to drop the pillar, I think? No pillar. Scanlong makes it out with his life, but has to flash out, and in exchange for Raka's Ignite.
Meanwhile, Gavin just dropped a solo kill on Ori.
Oh, wasn't even watching that one. Wow, just really chaotic. Scanlong gets out, but this is just looking worse and worse for Notbots, in my opinion.
Oh, so that's really surprising to me that that happened, too.
Yeah.
Vanguard was taking a lot of minions or something, but it feels like it shouldn't have been possible, as Scanlongs may go down here. Yep.
Yeah. Guillotine drops the heal, but it's a little bit early, and because of that, Scanlong's not in range. And oh, Alistar does get the shutdown kill back onto Trundle. Kaelin, auto attack the Gromp. Wait, Kaelin, hello? Okay, she gets the Gromp. So, I think that's good for Notbots overall, since they do get the shotgun gold, but unfortunately for them, it all goes on to Alistar, and that's not exactly who you want to allocate your gold onto. Pacific Time force the flash by Zedia. A lot of chaos going on in these lane matchups.
Yeah, I think if Govertine had flash healed, that would have turned around.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he
I
did
didn't
have
scan one
flash.
out,
Yeah.
but Go Routine held onto Flash and instead Scanlon pays with his life.
Yep. I do understand the hesitancy. If you ever flash heal and then the person you flash heal dies anyway, you look really foolish. But I think in that particular case, it would have been a huge turnaround. Getting the heal on Scanlong, keeping Scanlong alive, that would have given them time to turn on Banshadows, kill him, get the shutdown gold for free, potentially get the gold onto Scanlong or Giratina instead of Kazooie, and that's like a huge turnaround for them. But as it is, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and the Jace is already, I mean, he's up 5 CS right now, but Zesha's is now coming back to lane. Held onto his teleport, so he gets to go again, and was able to force Flash with his first ult.
Right, yeah. Part of why Aatrox has been picker banned in competitive recently is just he's a manaless wave clear champion with sustain. And if you put it that way, it sounds pretty broken, and yeah, it is pretty broken. Oh, hold that thought. Gavin getting chunked out here. Scanlong trying to get his revenge kill, but he doesn't. Oh no, he's taking a tower. He's so low. Banshadow is trying to kill him. Scanlong just not having any luck trying to kill Gavin. And Gavin's just pulling so much pressure, getting way much better outcome of his lane than he really ought to, given how this has played out and how little farm he had early on. But at this point, Gavin has enough mana to try and wave clear, and he can basically avoid having to interact with Vancod for most of the game.
Did you just call him Mancloud?
Or Van.
There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, Vancod. Vanguard.
Mancloud, Vanguard, same difference.
Yeah. Similar.
As we're now going to see, Trundle's going to be able to take away the mark from Kindred.
Yep.
So denying a little bit that early scaling. Obviously, 4 marks is kind of the break point.
Yeah,
you really want to see if you're
Very
Kindred, because
excited.
at 4, every 4 you get increases your attack range on, I believe, both your Q and your auto. But certainly on your auto, at least.
Yep. This champion's farming.
So
Once
meanwhile,
again, we see Giratina at a CS deficit, which is really unfortunate. It's not what you want to see as a Caitlyn.
And I mean, I think this is kind of... It's not shocking when you look at sort of the overall skill of the players,
Right.
as Coroutine takes a lot of damage there. But, like, you would kind of expect the Heart of Gold to have an advantage in top and bot. But Gavin, with those 2 kills, is sort of taking away that advantage that you would figure they have in mid.
Yep. Oh, Zedia maybe looking for a kill here. Banshadow is here to back him up. Pacific Time gets pillared out and does not have flash to get out, so I think this is going to be a dive. Trundle has aggro, but they're just going to finish that. Drop the aggro. This might be a first tower blood into off lane.
Yeah, this is...
oh no, they're finding lands. Kazooie flashes forward though! Punishing Rocket is taking tower, dies to the last tower hit. A crazy turnaround. Oh no, but Alistar punts Corki into his own AD carry, and that's going to just give him an out. He might be trapped on the minion wave though. Might die to Ignite, is trying to heal back with Fleet Forward, but Kazooie, he's not done. He's looking for blood. He thinks he can get this. I don't think there's a way for Shooks to get out, and oh, he pounds him into the wall. It's another kill for Kazooie. So overall, it's
savage.
going to be good for Notbots.
So what, a 2 for 2 across the map?
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, the top tower does go down against Notbots, and Harvey Gold is going to be really happy with that pickup. They get first tower blood. Zedia's freed to roam once again, and this is beginning to look a lot like Game 1. And we all know how that turned out.
Going to have a large struggle to have an impact in this game. Like, Jace is not gangplank.
Yep.
When you fall behind as Jace, you feel real bad.
Yeah. Jace is definitely a champion who relies on bullying and stat checking his opponent out of the lane, and if you can't do that, Jace doesn't have a whole lot of exciting utility to make up for his lack of damage. He has Gate. He can speed his teammates in. It's basically Sivir ultimate. Think of that.
It's a terrible Sivir ult. Good point.
And you also have your Hammer E. It's like really bad Lee Sin ultimate. You basically have 2 ultimates on basic abilities. Well,
that's why they don't give Jason normal ultimate.
Yeah.
Basic has 2 different ultimates.
Yep. Speaking of Pacific Time, he gates. Sivir tries to Sivir ult out. He Lee Sin kicks Zedia backward, but he's out of options after that and ends up going down. No way for him to get out of that
Shock
one.
Blast just become like a Ziggs ult or something?
Yeah, I guess so. Oh,
What was Ryan
oh, he clips him
thinking?
right at the edge of the Orianna ultimate. Vanguard picking up a kill. I did not think that Orianna Shockwave would hit, but he hits it at the very maximum range, picks up a kill on Gavin. Really nice for Vanguard.
Their routine takes a lot of poke, but has some sustain options and still is heal ready.
Yep.
But this top lane is going to be a big time problem.
Yeah. It's going to be a big problem. These side lanes are just suffering so much. Vanguard is managed to stabilize his lane after Scanlong, unfortunately dying early to Gavin on the failed dive. But with the side lanes losing, Caitlyn is not a champion who you want to have shoved under tower. Caitlyn's a champion who you want to dominate the lane with and bully. And if you're getting shoved in by Corki pre-Trinity Force, that is just not a good feeling. And likewise with Pacific Time in the top lane, he's just behind the item curve as Jace, which is also not what you want to see. So given that these side lanes are losing, what do you think? Notbots, what's their out? What's their way back into this game from this situation? Since they're down 2,000 gold, they're down a tower.
Well, I mean, there's always the giant Orianna Shockwave.
Yep.
That's always an option. And, I mean, Vanguard has now put Gavin down twice since Gavin started 2-0 and is setting up 40 CS at 12 minutes, which in bad games, some people don't even have 40 CS in 12 minutes.
I mean, there you go. Yeah, that's something.
I mean, I feel like he's kind of their win point right now.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, the Alistar Orianna Engage is a pretty reliable tool that you can use.
Yeah, for better or for worse, Kazooie does look quite difficult. Oh no, Giratina just can't dodge these binds, but maybe this time he's baiting because Scanlong is here trying to turn this around. Unfortunately, Giratina goes down. They're trying to kill Shooks and they get him. Scanlong trying to make his way out. Does have Lazarus Bite available, but flashes away from the Trundle. It's going to be 1-for-1 at the end of the day.
Was required.
Yeah, I think with Lazarus Spite still available, did not need to flash there. Oh, Pacific Time does get the red buff. 1v1ing Zedia topside. Zedia forced to ultimate, but he has Vanguard here to back him up. Shockwave clips at the edge. Man, Vanguard has really, really clean shockwaves this game. But Zedia is just going to be able to walk out of this one, so they're not able to convert into the kill.
Yeah, I mean, good roam though by Vanguard. Like, really helps alleviate some of the pressure that Pacific Time's feeling.
Yep. Definitely good on his part.
Pacific Time, to his credit, is actually up in CS right now.
Yeah.
But he's died 3 times.
Yeah, unfortunate for him.
That doesn't necessarily make up for the small CS lead doesn't make up for that.
Yeah. One thing that was pointed out to me is that Pacific Time electing not to build an Executioner's Calling, which might help a lot against the sustain that Aatrox. As I mentioned earlier, Aatrox is a manaless wave clear champion with sustain. So if you can at least beat in the sustain.
The Trundle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So definitely might be a good option for at least someone on the team to consider picking up. It makes sense for Pacific Time since he's laning against him, but Vanguard, he's getting ganked, tries to cleanse out of that, but he just gets totally trapped. The terrain from the Anivia Trundle combo, the Freljord package, it's going to be a little bit too much. Pacific Time also forced back by Zedia's teleport back to the top tower, and the throw Trundle moving in the top side, moves out to drop a ward for himself.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think, an important gank to come through for Ban Shadows.
Yep.
Like, Vanguard's been making a nice mark recently, and it feels like all of his other lanes win.
Yeah.
Pretty handily right now. Like, even with Scanlong showing up, it's been ties at best.
Yep.
So you really could just put a lot of pressure on the Orianna if you're Ban Shadows.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Raka just stopwatched in the river.
But it was on a ward. He was sending a message.
Yeah, it's the
I don't
dominance.
even need this to beat you.
Yeah. Stopwatch on Morgana. Irrelevant cooldown.
It's not that important.
Who needs that?
It's not like she can ult and stopwatch or anything like that.
You saw that Morgana performance in game 1, and he's like, yeah, this is how you really play Morgana. You stopwatch in the river. Yeah, one thing I don't really know exactly. Oh, hold that thought. Vanguard getting ganked by Ban Shadows once again. Trundle ultimate goes down. Zedia's here too with the ultimate, and Gavin is a slow Anivia walking behind. Trundle's pulling the aggro, but Vanguard, he makes it out. Lazarus Spike gets dropped, and Zedia can't go into ultimate when the Lazarus Spike is on. Gets triggered at the end here. He's getting kited out. Pacific Time here to finish the kill, and then they get Zedia at the end of the day. Wow, a huge overcommitment there from a Heart of Gold.
Yeah, I don't think he expected Scanlong to be able to get there in time.
Yeah, for sure.
because otherwise that's a death. That's a if the limbs or spite doesn't come.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's pretty much an easy kill, but Scanlong makes it barely in the nick of time, drops his Lambert Spike, gets Vanguard out of there. So that's a nice kill. Zedia was at 1 kill at that point when he died, so nice, I think 400 gold kill at that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big shutdown bonus, but it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit of one, I think.
They're just going to clear out more camps. Scanlong farming his way into relevancy. This Trundle is quite strong for 1-1, but once again, there's just not a lot of tanks for him to ult. Because of that, there's definitely a way for Notbots to just play a really perfect kite back, like we saw in that overcommitted dive, where they just kite out the melees, they kite out the Trundle, they kite out the Aatrox, and once that happens, they have some really strong range threats who can put damage out onto the carries of Heart of Gold. Vanguard is ulting for pressure.
Continues to hit Gavin hard.
Yep. Showing him who's boss in the mid lane. Give him the big ball. Oh, looks like Banshadow is coming to give Vanguard a visit. Raka, see if we get those homing binds once again. Banshadow is not done yet. He's fast. He's looking for blood, and Zedia is here to trap him. Vanguard has no way out of that one. Gets totally pincered. Pacific Time not able to collapse. He's just too weak at this point. Looks like Pacific Time is working toward a Bork to try and combat this Aatrox, but I think he just really needs Executioner's Calling more than anything else.
Say, yeah, this Executioner's Calling really needs to come through to be able to do anything.
Yep.
And even then, I don't think he'll be able to. But
yeah, it might be a little bit too little now. But
oh,
Gavin, you should not be there while your team's at Herald. Corki Valks in to try and turn this one around. Raka gets what looks to be a really good ult, but Pacific Time forced out of here. Corki gets the shutdown gold. Scanlong chunked out by Zedia, and now it's just Kazooie alone with 4 members of the enemy team. There's no way he can get out of this one. It's going to be a triple kill for Shooks. The Herald dropped in mid lane. This is going to be at least 2 towers taken. A huge gold swing is going to skyrocket here for Heart of Gold.
Feels really bad as the top lane chase. And in fact, it wasn't even close. It was pretty much a slaughter.
Yep. There's just not a way to contest that. It even started out pretty well for Notbots with the pick on Gavin, but oh no, Vanguard going down. Vanguard is so low. Vanguard turning around. Oh, but he doesn't auto attack. He accidentally move commands, and then because of that, he misses the kill. Jace is able to pick up the shutdown gold, but Herald's still hitting mid tower. They're chasing Pacific Time. He's looking for blood. He flashes forward, but he gets crowd controlled. Can't pursue any further, and I think Zedia, Shooks, and Raka are just gonna walk out of this one. Rift Herald even picking up the mid tower. Really unfortunate.
Had limbs respite there too for.
Oh man, yeah. That's really unfortunate. Well, we'll see what they're able to do here. At least their saving grace is that they didn't lose inhibitor, so hopefully they can try and push back and maybe answer with mid tower here. The biggest thing is that Notbots, they need another tower. If they can't get the global gold from a tower, Heart of Gold is just going to steamroll them with the gold advantage they have right now. They're almost at a 4k gold lead here at the nearly 20-minute mark. And that's going to be a hard advantage to fight against, especially when that gold advantage is converted into a Corki Trinity Force. Rapid Fire Spike is converted into things like this Cleaver Completion for Zedia. Those are all items that will have a pretty big impact on these upcoming fights.
Yeah, and I mean, the other problem that I see is, like, there is nobody on Bots' team that I would rather have than their corresponding counterpart on Heart of Gold.
Right, yeah.
Like, every single member of their team is down some degree of gold. Even Gavin, I believe.
Yeah, even Gavin has recovered.
No,
yeah.
Gavin's down 200.
Alright. But 200 gold is manageable, especially given how bad the lane started. He was getting smashed 6 farm till 30 or in the early phase of the game. Now he's just down to 25 CS or so. That's a totally manageable disadvantage.
Yeah, he's stabilized the gold and he's been able to do plenty in the brawls that have come up.
Yeah.
Like,
Banshadow is doing a lot to stabilize for him. Speaking of Banshadows, he is here to murder Vanguard brutally in the side wave. Yeah, not super thrilled about this one. I think once again the Vanguard's tendency to try and side lane on control mage is coming back to bite him, because you do not want to be bot lane alone as Orianna at the 21-minute mark while Baron is up. and it's going to result in the death of basically his entire team as they go back to try and save him.
So here's a question for you. 3 people are dead on not bots.
Yeah.
Will Heart of Gold decide that they don't like Baron this game?
Well, in this case, they're already bot lane, and I guess they're just gonna recall Zedia, send him top. They're getting a tower. That's a good objective. So they get 1 tower.
It is an objective.
And now they're gonna take the bottom side jungle. They're delaying their own reset. So hypothetically, if Notbots had map packs, and they had full information, they could actually rush Baron right now, knowing that Heart of Gold is sitting on gold and sitting on recalls. They're all off the map. So there's technically a window where it's possible. It's just they don't have the information necessary to make that call right now. They may actually be doing that.
We just had an assist ping come down on Baron.
Ooh, I actually like this. They're in a bad position, but one way they can get back is for Baron. If they mess up here and throw catastrophically, it will look embarrassing. But I think this is actually a high expected value decision. There is actually no wards whatsoever here from Heart of Gold. They might not even know this is happening at all. And with Caitlyn and Kindred hitting this, they have Jace, Caitlyn, Kindred. They're just going to collect this one and get out. Wow, a huge blunder there from Heart of Gold, and their lack of Baron priority once again coming into play like it did in Game 1.
I'll say it. I mean, I still find it hard to imagine that Heart of Gold doesn't win this game. But
yeah, there's definitely a road to victory for Notbots at this point. Getting that Baron gives them sort of a new lease on life. They have a lot more time to work with now before things start to look unwinnable. And with that, they can just keep farming.
Huge, though.
Yeah,
especially because they probably could have turned it into an Infernal Drake.
Right, absolutely. Zooey, all by his lonesome here. He needs to get out. Raka throwing out those homing missile vines once again. That one falls short of its target, but yeah, I don't know what was going on earlier, whether Raka was just on fire or if Giratina is having an off game, but Caitlyn was getting hit by a lot of Morgana bindings earlier on.
Yeah. I'll say, having watched this, like, I still really think, like, for Red Side, Trundle needs to be a mandatory ban.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, both teams are willing to first pick it. Both teams have shown, like, both junglers have shown they can play this champion, and they can play this champion really well.
Yeah,
yeah. And, like, I mean, just the pillar has been so impactful because if you can't flash it or dash through it, like...
You're dead. Yep.
Nothing stops you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Notbots, their plan has clearly been, like, give Trundle and counterpick with Kindred, but I was really happy with Scanlong's Game 1 early game, but he wasn't able to replicate that for this Game 3, and even in both those games, his mid-game looked a little bit mediocre at best. I haven't been super happy with the way he's been teamfighting.
To be fair to Scanlong, it's very difficult to jungle when all your lanes are losing.
That is fair. That is fair. Do have to give him that one. Oh, Pacific Time found Trundle, but he has buddies here and Scanlong here, ready to back up his fam, and Trundle goes down. Has flash, but there's no point in flashing away against 4 people. And don't forget, Notbots has Baron because they snuck it earlier. They have a man advantage. They have a Baron power play. This could be a big tower lead for them that could happen, or at very least equalize the tower deficit. Instead of sieging bottom, they just rotate back to mid, which is a little odd to me. I think they really had a window there to just hit bottom tower before Harville was in position, but Gavin getting caught by Scanlong. Can Scanlong finally get his revenge kill on Anivia? He's forced to land respite. He's tanking the tower. He's trying to hop out. He's low health. He flashes to break the last shot. Kazui's super low. Vanguard holding aggro for him, but Zedia dashing in with Aatrox's ultimate is a huge threat here. Giratina has to get out, but he's chained. He's going to get tugged back in and tugged back into his death. Pacific Time here. Zedia can get some return kills, but just walks through Zedia. It's going to be a 1-for-1.
That's advantage bots, though. They got a big shutdown off of Corki.
Yep. It's advantage in that sense, but they had a window where they should have been able to make a Baron power play, and that 1-for-1 prevents that from happening, and Heart of Gold loses much fewer towers than I really think they should have in that position.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Worth noting, by the way, that kill on Trundle did give Kindred his 4th stack.
Ooh.
And so is now working on the enhanced range on his basics.
That's really nice for Scanlong, so he'll be happy with that. One thing I do want to point to is that Scanlong has been really tunneled on trying to dive Anivia, and every time he's done it, it's worked out really badly because he gets Anivia ulted and then stunned and then chunked out by the Ice Shard.
And I mean, I think that one actually worked pretty well. Like, worked
it was
pretty okay
alright, just given how far ahead they were, but I think there were still better ways they could have played that particular fight. I really want Scanlong to try and prioritize other targets and just kite out instead of just forcing a dive onto Anivia. It's one of the hardest targets to dive as far as control mages go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fair. I mean, I think the other part of it too is that it's a very high execution.
Right.
Like, being able to get that kill on Anivia is just objectively harder to do. And that's not to say it's impossible, but it's so much easier to mess up, and there's so many other things that can go wrong.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, one thing I do also want to know is that there's a pretty large lack of control wards. Like, there are some on the map right now, but players are not stocking up multiple control wards to replace them in order to ensure objective control, and that's keeping the map really dark for both of these teams. And with the dark vision, it's creating a lot of these weird picks that we've been seeing. Why the kill count is so high. Neither team has super consistent vision.
Yeah, I think right now Bots has one control ward out, and
Heart of Gold has 3 control wards, but they're all on the bottom side of the map, which is not really super important right now. Yeah, like, it sucks to move your control ward. I know, like, it's like, you're wasting money, but if your wards aren't doing anything, they might as well not exist. You gotta put them somewhere useful. Oh man.
Yeah, if you're not doing anything, you might as well buy Jace.
Yeah. Pacific Time does his best battle ward, and unfortunately it was a bigger emphasis on the battling than the warding, and he just gets obliterated when he discovers some enemy champions. You're gonna try and hold this the Kaelin traps in the Vanguard's Orianna ball, but not sure if it's going to be enough. I think it's just going to be an inhibitor take here for Heart of Gold.
No, so yeah, I mean, and Pacific Time flashed and didn't get any summoners in return.
Yep. Oh, and yep, it's going to be an inhibitor. There's no way for not bots to engage 4v5, so they're just going to have to let that one go. Heart of Gold backing out. Oh, but they find Band Shadows. Can't Scanlong run this guy down? Doesn't look like he's willing to commit to it. There's too much darkness on the map. They don't have vision of the enemy champions. I think that's right for him to back off there, since we have perfect knowledge and knew that Heart of Gold's entire roster was heading toward Band Shadows as well.
And I mean, we made the snarky comment, but now 2 of the control wards for Heart of Gold have been pushed forward and pretty.
That's good. That's good. Glad to see that. I still think. I'm okay with the one in the bottom side jungle, but the one really far up, I think that might be a little bit too aggressive. It doesn't actually give them that much Baron control, it just sees them as they rotate around the base. So it might be a little bit premature to ward that far up. I think they care more about the vision around the Baron pit so they can guarantee there's no steal.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
We're gonna have a dragon coming up, and what kind of dragon is this one? It's an Earth Dragon.
I believe.
So, yep. See if teams prioritize that. I think there's not going to be too much focus on that, given that Baron is the objective to be at right now. Mountains, last year. Baron buff is where it's at the 29-minute mark. Yeah.
Pacific Time could actually have snuck that dragon if he wanted.
Yeah. Could try to go for the solo.
Like,
he has teleport.
Yeah. He has teleport. He's not going to add a lot standing around mid right here.
Right.
Like,
and he has a fourth life steal.
Battle.
Yeah.
He has plenty of lifesteal.
Ooh, a bush cheese. I like this. This is a good plan. There's not a lot else for them to be doing on the map, and they can really bluff the Baron here. I guess unfortunately for them, they do have the crab in favor of bots. But oh, Pacific Time does face check into the trundle in the bush. Has GA still. Kazooie flashing it. It's a huge pulverized. Scanlong is hitting in this fight. Has Lancer Spite Veil. Is forced to flash back. Kazooie taking a lot of members all alone, but Pacific Time isn't able to follow up. Gets chunked, dropped into his Guardian Angel, and his teammates meanwhile are preoccupied, zoned out by Morgana. They're rotating up to try and help, but Gavin gets the kill on Pacific Time. Goroutine kiting back. There's no traps being dropped out, but Vanguard's totally trapped into the wall by the pillar. Can't move at all and goes down. That's going to be
really bad.
A 3-for-0 exchange, and I think that's just going to be the Baron captured by Heart of Gold.
I'm also not sure what Pacific Time was doing there. Like, Kazooie went in and was absorbing their pressure. Basically all backed out as now everybody's dead. uh, and they can. Well, all right. I guess they don't want to end the game. They want to take
Yep,
Baron
no,
now.
yeah.
Sure, why not?
So, yep, Heart of Gold. Um, they thrive in the heart of battle. They don't believe in objectives. They're more about killing the enemy champions. That's more of their style. So
They're the people in ARAM who kill you and then stand at your fountain waiting for you to
yeah,
access
right.
now.
It's,
But anyway, in that fight, Kazooie was there. He had absorbed all the pressure. Pacific Time was out, and then he kind of turned around and ran back in at about 20% health with no GA.
Yep. The GA being popped by Pacific Time is going to be a big issue for the next fight, especially given the ways I was. Oh, he finally faced with the Executioner's Calling. I guess better late than never, but 32-minute Executioner.
That'll turn around a 7,000 gold deficit.
Yeah, I think a little bit earlier would have really helped in this 1v1. Well, not bots. They're gonna just try their best to wave clear it. They're having to defend against Baron. Zedia is in position to split push bottom lane with his teleport up. Shoops has the package available, so this is a big window. I think Zedia might be overextending a little bit. His team isn't in position to pressure top tower yet, and he's getting run down. But I think with that chain, he's gonna be able to disengage. He knows his limits. A little bit scary. Maybe he knows that no one on his flashes is available to punish him, but he's able to back up. Repressure the wave with his Baron as his teammates push to the top lane, and now Notbots is in the terrible position of having to defend against 3 waves of pressure. They're chasing Ban Shadows into the fog, and Vanguard gets rooted. Man, Morgana just hitting so many binds this game. Ugh. I'm really not sure how they're going to interact with this Baron. Looks like Heart of Gold really learning from game 1 that they should hit towers. Oh, a nice flash, flashing the Kazooie's engage, and meanwhile Zedia on the other side of the map just getting this inhib for free. There's no way for that to be contested, and on the top side they're just hitting the top inhibitor as well. This is going to be a triple inhibitor, I think. There's nothing that Notbots can do. They need to try and find an engage, otherwise they'll just die to Baron super minions, but they're just not able to find the fight that they want. Oh, and Scanlong just gets 1v1 by Zedia. Even drops Land Respite, but it's just not enough. Zedia, a huge monster here. Still has his ultimate on, so can't really go down. And with the Baron minions flooding in the base, I think that's going to be the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is game. Game hasn't really been in doubt for a while.
Yep.
It's been pretty clear which way this is going to go.
Final Nexus Tower is going to go down, and unless... yep, no. Not even Heart of Gold could throw from that position. They tried to keep it suspenseful in game 1, but game 3 they ironed out some of that sloppiness. They had better... relatively speaking, objective control, and they're able to end the game in 34 minutes.
Yep. Not the best game, really, for anyone. Not bots, I think. Vanguard has to feel a little bit upset.
Yep.
Like, that should be his winning matchup. I mean, he didn't get the counter pick, but he got, like, skill-wise, that's the strongest differential there is in the game, and Gavin was every bit as effective as he was.
Right.
I guess maybe not. Gavin did only 9,000 damage to champions. Never mind. Anivia actually did the least damage to champions of anyone on this team.
Yeah, we do turn our attention to vision control and the control wards. I do want to note that Pacific Time and Garrottine... Is it Garrottine?
Go Regina.
Yeah, Garrottine had actually purchased 0 control wards between the two of them, which is really unfortunate. It's something that everyone needs to try and chip into, given the control ward cap per player. So I think if they're able to iron that out, having more vision control in the early game especially, will help them stay stable in the lane, because oftentimes their lane matchups are okay. They're at a slight deficit in bot lane 2v2, I think, but that's doable. They can work with that, but they just don't have the vision control to spot out the ganks, and they're getting really far behind for that reason. If they're able to get their own jungler off the ground, that's when they can really thrive. That's how we saw them win game 2. They're able to pressure Zedia using Scanlong on the Trundle jungle. So if they're able to replicate that once again, get better early game vision, help Scanlong get off the ground and snowball, I think that's the way they can really win through the early and mid game.
Yeah, and since people are asking in the chat, this is a best of 5 series. This is not over. That being said, they agreed to do a split series, so they're playing 3 games tonight, and they'll be playing 2 games on Monday night to finish off the series.
Yep. So we'll be wrapping up the broadcast. Any other closing thoughts you want, Kevin, before we wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think either of these teams could win. I'd like to see some adjustments coming out from not bots. I want to see tank top lanes at this point. I think the carry top lane experiment for them has shown to be really not productive in this series.
Yep. Yeah. I think
And
sticking with
Zesha's
tanks.
been able to, Zesha's been able to absorb pressure in carry matchups, but against the tank and the jungler who can do it, like he actually did show some vulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if Go Routine has something other than the Caitlyn or the Ashe that they can play.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely an awkward time to try and learn a whole new champion in the middle of your series. But something
but I
other
think
than the
in general-
Caitlyn, I think, would really help this draft, because the Caitlyn hasn't really been impactful and it hasn't been winning lane. And if you're not able to suppress your lane opponent as Caitlyn, I think it sort of brings into question if there are other champions who might fulfill the job that you're using that Caitlyn for better.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I would like to see Scanlong and Vanguard try to do this. I feel like they felt a lot of they felt, and correctly so to a degree, that the rest of their map was going to be at a disadvantage, and so they felt very heavily pressured to carry and try to get ahead. But those plays kept getting turned around.
Right.
And like even in their game 2 win, like you saw, they got the first blood and Vanguard stayed too long and got solo killed by the R, or got, I think, ganked by the jungler and turned around. That being said, Heart of Gold hasn't really had to show their hand. Like, they've played basically the same team comp every time. They had a little bit better scaling this time, but it was wave clear, control mage mid. It was Corki bottom. It was someone who supplements Corki well bottom, either Morgana or Nami.
Right. Yeah.
They played they played Trundle jungle twice,
Mm-hmm.
and Zesha played the same type of champion every game.
Yeah, right. They have a very consistent game plan, and we don't know if they can do anything else. And
But
to
if
their
they
credit,
can't
it's
do
been
anything
working
else-
really well. So I don't think they need to mix it up. And I think the target bans against Vanguard have looked to be really effective at gimping out his champion pool, preventing him from having global pressure. But conversely, the bans against Zedia haven't seemed to do a lot, especially because a lot of the bans seem really redundant. They're all banning the same type of champion. So if he's going to get the same type of champion at the end of the day, no matter what, does it really matter whether it's an Aatrox or a Garen or a Pantheon, right? Like, maybe you ban this Corki, maybe you ban this Anivia, maybe you ban this, like, right? If you can disrupt the rest of the roster, I think that's maybe a better path to victory than the target ban onto Zedia.
Yeah, I think I am definitely souring on the Zedia target bans. That being said, his Garen is really good, and it's not a thing people usually play against.
Right. Garen is just a really strong champion this patch right now, honestly. Definitely a champion who struggles in organized fives, but I think there's just so much chaos and there's so much elo discrepancy within lane matchups that Garen's probably a champion who can be really strong in an environment like this.
And if you sort of look at historically Heart of Gold's games, like Shooks can play other, like Shooks is not a Corki one trick. Like in the semifinals, he went 11-3-6 on Jhin. He went 9-5-10 on Jinx. He went 8-1-6 on Corki. Like those were their 3 games.
Yeah.
And in those games, you saw bans still kind of being thrown at Zesha, like, and they obviously weren't helpful. The Tryndamere was banned every game. Garen was free 1 game for an 8. But at least they were only throwing a couple bans on him. Another thing I might like to see is Vanguard look to blind pick something strong in lane.
Yeah. Just
Either the
prioritize
first
something
rotation
early
or
for Vanguard.
before that second ban wave.
Right. I
Because
agree.
I think the second ban wave is the one that's really hurting him.
Yeah. Because he still has options at for first rotation, just 3 bans. He plays more than 3 champions comfortably. It's just, yeah, when there are 5, that really puts a lot of pressure on him, and more importantly, it forces him to play a certain composition based on what champion he's playing.
I'll
I
say,
think, yeah,
maybe you can think like, hey, maybe we can play Pantheon jungle and still ban out the same 5.
right.
And maybe at that point, Zesha's champion pool runs dry.
Mhm.
Although, given his champion pool, and I'm gonna OPGG him now,
Right, sure.
I assume he plays Riven. Like, I look at those champions and I see, yes, this person likes Riven.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Although maybe not. Let's
Alright.
see. Is Rek'Sai, Trundle, Aatrox, Kayn. Is Zesha actually like a jungler in solo queue?
Yeah, I think
That's
when
really impressive.
Elite Neat played with Zichia, they actually ran him as jungler, I
Oh,
believe.
you're right. Yeah,
So
you're right.
he plays two roles. Yeah.
Um,
So having a little bit
yeah,
of
I don't know
flexibility
that I
in that regard.
love the ban Zesha out strategy.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be working.
Hmm.
I think Trundle's a really important champion, and I think Red Side should probably be banning it at this point.
Yeah, definitely having a huge impact. Trundle has a 100% win rate in this series.
Has a 100% first pick rate in this series.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So first pick Trundle and win. Be blue side, first pick Trundle, win the game. That's that appears to be the
It's
go-to
good to know
game
that we're
plan.
going 5 games then.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see on Monday. Obviously, the weekend gives you time as a team to make adjustments.
Yep.
I would, as I said, I'd like to see the carry top lane hit the bench for not bots.
Yep.
Just not doing it.
I agree.
And just see if they like put something in lane that can survive, and then you can gank, but you don't have to tunnel vision on it.
Right.
Like very much like what happened in that second game, where the Trundle was top a lot with Zesha, but it wasn't until level 6. It wasn't until much later. And in the meanwhile, he got Vanguard away. Vanguard was able to do unholy amounts of damage on Rise. Of course, if Heart of Gold has another trick in their playbook, there just may not be enough time to respond to it for not
Right.
bots.
Yep.
But I'm not sure if they do or not.
Yep, so, well, we're going to have a bit of a refresher, put this series on pause. I may not be able to cast on Monday. We'll see how my personal schedule goes, but if not, we'll see how the rest of the series goes.
Yep, the casting for Monday is still kind of in.
Yep, so you
just
may
for everyone.
not have these same 2 handsome casters next time, but I'm sure someone very exciting will keep you entertained with the concluding half of this series. Thank you very much for watching, if you've been tuning in, and we will see you all later.
Yep, thank you guys very much. Hope you enjoyed.